I am Jay Starling, and this is the Unbreakable Podcast. Welcome, my unbreakable ones. Today, I've been asked to do the 5 whys. They saw the intro and went, hey, you didn't really talk about 5 whys that much. So, we are going to go through the 5 whys tools. Again, just a reminder, this is a podcast where we're going to talk about all kinds of different things, but first we're going to focus on some continuous improvement things that I'll be speckling out throughout all the different episodes. This one's really used to figure out what's going on. So if you didn't know me, I am big on presentations. So we are going to use a little presentation here to walk through the bullet points. So the 5 whys. When do we use 5 whys? Well, when we're not sure why something's happening. That's why it's called the 5 whys. Hey, why is that happening? What's going on? We need to understand why. It's like a toddler. You got to go through the whys. Why. That's what you got to walk through. The difference between this and the toddlers is you got to be able to make sure you take time between your whys to really understand. Let me give you a great example. Let's say that you are driving down the road and all of a sudden your light comes on for your tires. Most cars nowadays have that where they'll come on and say, hey, I'm under pressure. Actually had this happen to me. I'm like, well, the temperature's going up and down. Right now, for you that don't know, this is 2025. And in Northeast Ohio, the temperatures are going up. We're in October heading towards November. It might be 60 degrees outside in the morning and 40 at night, and we're dropping 20 degrees. And the tires don't always like that. Sometimes they're on the borderline. They go down. They get a temperature. So my first why was, okay, I'm going to assume that, hey, it's the temperatures. I just need to go put some air in. I drive over, check 4 of the 5 tires. 4 of the 5 are good. The driver's side rear, it was low. Okay, I pump it up to where it's supposed to be. It was quite a bit low. The rest of them were okay, but I pumped them all up to 35 pounds like it said to. Figured better safe than sorry. Let me track it. I have 2 vehicles, so I don't always drive my truck. When I got back in my truck and I was driving it for a little while, took it for about an hour drive, all of a sudden, when I'm leaving there again, it says that it's a little low. Okay? Well, that's not normal. Wonder why it would be doing that. So I go and I pump it back up again, check the rest of them, see if they're okay. All the rest of them are okay. They're all at 35. This one's back down to 28. I'm going, yeah, something's not quite right. So let's step down through that. My first why is, well, temperature must just, the pressure's low. That's why the light came on, right? My reaction was blow it up. That must not be it. So my second why is, okay, is there something in it? Sure enough, as I'm looking through, there was a baby screw. Didn't know it was a baby screw at the time, but there was a baby screw. So I have a couple choices there. Well, am I going to go to, get the thing patched? And we won't go into that because those are solutions of what we could do. But we got to keep going down the whys. Why'd my tire go flat? Okay. So what are different things that could happen to cause it to go flat and get the nail in it or the object inside of it? Well, let me think about where I've been driving. I'm driving my own driveway. Okay. There's possible that I could have screws or nails there, but not kind of likely. Next one is I've been obviously driving some roads. Everybody drives a road. That's why you have a vehicle. Is there any kind of construction going on? Well, yeah, there's construction local to me quite a bit in Ohio. If you know anything about Ohio, we're always under construction. There's also a project near me that's supposed to be taking 3 to 4 years, and another one near me that's taking 6 years or so. It's always under construction, but when I got the tire fixed, it didn't look like it was a construction screw. It was a very small one, just about yay big. It was a real small one, but just enough to puncture that tread. All right, so it's probably not that one. What other why could it be? What else could it be? Well, let's see. I've been going to a place where we are doing some construction, and we are helping out an individual rebuild their house. Okay. Does it look like one of those screws? Well, it does look like one of those screws. Okay. So why did that happen? But it never happened before, and nobody else has had flat tires out there. So why? What happened that caused it? Well, the next why that I go down to is, Well, I've been parking somewhere nobody else parks. I've been pulling up by this pile where we've been piling things we've been pulling out of the house during the reno, and it's entirely possible a screw got there. So we are down to the fourth why, right? Now, what can go a little deeper? Going deeper, okay, why? Well, why did that happen? Well, when we were tearing out, we weren't really careful about where we were throwing things. Got a little excited a few times and let some aggression out and tossed things pretty far. Things broke. The screw came out. So what was the real root cause? Well, the real root cause is we didn't have a good containment zone of where those things may wind up, and I drove over one. So if you look at that, I could have stopped at the second one down where I said, okay, I had an object in it, and just said, there you go. I have another friend who has now, not the same construction site, has run over 5, yes, count them, 5 nails, has had every tire go flat on their vehicle, plus one. So we went through this kind of same thing with them and went, okay, where are you driving that you're picking up these things? Where are you going? What are you doing that nobody else is doing or having that same kind of a problem? And we figured out they were parking by a dumpster. The dumpster, somebody was doing work and threw some nails in there, and the nails did make it in the dumpster, or when they flipped the dumpster, they fell out. Not sure which one. We didn't see it. But there you go. Now we moved where they're parking and no more nails in their car. Wonderful thing. So let's take a look. You could have more than one why, right? So you go after the most likely first. When we talked about real quick when I'm like, okay, there's multiple construction zones, right? That could have been any of them. But what's the most likely? Well, the most likely was the one that would have the small screws, not the big screws. If there would have been large screws there or large nails, it could have been the road construction guys pulling pulling plywood off of things. Could have been any of those things, right? And I would have had a much harder time going through it, but thank goodness it was a small screw, just a little guy. And that kind of pointed me to where most likely it would happen and where I could find other things. So go after that most likely why, but you could be wrong with those whys. So you might have to loop back and go, hey, what's going on? Where is it at? What am I doing here with these items? Are they the right items or not that we're dealing with? Yep, may not be the most likely. Take your time. So very first one that I came up with was, hey, construction zone near my house. That's probably it, right? No, that wasn't the most likely one. The most likely one was the place I was going for the renovations. That was the most likely one. But it wasn't the first one in my head either. At first, I'm like, wow, I got something in my tire. Must be the construction zone. I got to be more careful going through there. Wasn't yet. So make sure you take your time. Did I say take your time between the whys? If I haven't said that enough times to bury it in your head, I'm going to do it again. Take your time with your why. So this was a car. Can it happen in your personal life? How do you handle something in your personal life like this? Well, let's go through something personal. I had a divorce lately. And when you look at that, you can do the same kind of 5 whys. Okay, why did I get divorced? Well, I'm not going to go into extreme detail here, but let's just do the high levels. So you got a divorce. Well, obviously, you then lost connection with the other person, whether it is passion or fighting or just desire, or you found out they weren't who you thought they were when you started. Again, not all these options are what happened to me. I'm just listing things that I know from other people as well of what have happened to them. There could have been cheating in a relationship somewhere. That could have been why you decided to get the divorce. But then again, you can go down another why. Well, why did that happen? Maybe you weren't spending enough time with the person. Maybe you spent too much time with the person, or you didn't spend enough time walking through what your real needs were. What did you really want to have done in a marriage? Did you think you were going to change them? I hear that one a lot. Oh, I thought he was going to change, or I thought she was going to change, or, all those different things that this just annoyed me a little bit, but at the end, oh boy, it was horrible. It just got to me all the time. Spending time together and making sure that it's right and growing together is very important. And maybe those things just didn't happen. Okay, why didn't they happen? Well, again, I list a lot of things there. You've got to pick out your major one. Let's pick out the path of you didn't really know each other to where you wanted to or where you should have. Well, why is that? Did you not spend enough time of where you wanted to go? Did you not spend enough time of what you really wanted out of a relationship? One of the things that I've put in with going back out in the dating scene, it's been very interesting, is kind of like a checklist in my own head. Although I got a funny story on that one. Kind of checklist in my head where I go through, what does this person want? Do they want the same things I want? Like today, I want to grow. I want to grow. I'm growing by doing personal development. I want to be able to go downtown in a nice snazzy shirt and go out and have fun, really dressed up, as well as just throw on a sweatshirt, sit out on the back porch with a little fire going, and just sit there and enjoy each other and have great conversations. I want both those things. I want the person to be able to help push me hard, of being the man I actually can be, of trying to hit my objectives. And if I'm not, gently, but not brutally, but gently give me the right push of, hey, this needs to happen, right? You said you were going to do that, and you're not. So those are kinds of things that, you can have as a checklist. Now, I said funny story. Funny story is I went out on one of my first dates after the divorce, and this woman literally pulled out a checklist. I'm not saying figuratively in your head. She had a sheet of paper and had check marks on them and check marked off as we were talking. Did I hit everything she wanted? So, ladies, gentlemen, I do not recommend you do that. I don't recommend you pull out a sheet of paper and check mark it off. A little bit of dating advice thrown right in with the tool sets that we have, but just so you know, probably not the greatest thing to do in the world. It's good to have a checklist, bad to pull it out during the date. Okay, I'm going down the whys. So why didn't you do that? Well, a lot of us have some trauma from the past of going, I just want somebody to be with. I'm not comfortable being alone. What am I going to do if I don't have someone? And society does a lot of that. Society pushes us to want to be with somebody, or something's wrong with you if you're not with somebody, or you can't find anybody that accepts you for who you are. And it can make it very rough not to be able to have somebody. I got a whole new group of friends when I went out and after the divorce. And it was very much couples based. A lot of them had couples. A lot of them had met each other at the places we were at. So they're thinking, hey, if we're here and we met, maybe he'll meet somebody. And there was not a lot of pressure, but there was a lot of, hey, what about this person? What about this person? What about this person? And it was great that they were concerned about me, but at the same time, it was like, yeah, I need to just kind of figure this out by myself. And they figured that out. There's still good feedback when I talk to them about things, but it's switched from, we're going to find you somebody, to, well, if you want to talk to us about it, we're happy to talk about it. Or if there is somebody new, they're like, hey, have you talked to so-and-so? Instead of just like, hey, let's hook you up with so-and-so. It's they've done a great job of helping me out that way. So we're down through the whys, right? Now, this is the last part I'm going to teach you guys, is when you are done, walk those whys up to the last one and see if it makes sense by substituting the why with causes. Okay? So I'm going to go back to the truck example. Parking in the wrong spot causes me to be in the debris field, which causes me to be more likely to pick up a screw, which causes me to have a tire that's losing air pressure, which causes me to have the light come on in the truck. That makes sense. If I went off base somewhere, I'd be like, no, that doesn't cause that. That wouldn't cause that. Let's go a different way. If I'll go way off base on the whys here. If parking in the wrong spot caused me to be in the debris field, which caused me to, let's say the next why was jump off a bridge. If jumping off the bridge was because I got a nail in the tire, probably not where I'd be going at with this whole thing if I jumped off a bridge. Probably parking in the debris field was not the reason that I jumped off the bridge, if I jumped off a bridge. Let's not say that. Jumping off the bridge might be because, hey, I wanted to go swimming. There was a big pool down there, and it was fun, right? That's That'd be a better why coming off of jumping off a bridge. So you can walk that backwards and go, oh, that doesn't make sense there. We need to stop. That might have been one of the causes, but that doesn't sound like the real cause when we walk it backwards. And normally you wouldn't wait till you get all the way to the bottom, right? You find your why, and then you go, okay, let's take that backwards. Does that make sense? So that actually should have stopped at, I parked on the debris field, and then which causes me to jump off a bridge, and stopped right there and went, nah, that's probably not the debris field would cause it. That doesn't make sense. So hopefully this explains more of the 5 whys, how to check out whether it's a why or not, whether it's a good why or not. If you didn't quite get this, or you want some more information, or you want some more examples, please throw them in the comments. Make sure that you subscribe and like this video so that way more people get to see it. And I will see you in the next episode, which we are going to be talking about. All right, Jay, you talked to us about the whys, but you told us to get really in-depth in there, right? How do we figure out what could happen? How do we figure out what the most likely outcome is? That in business is really called an FMEA. I don't call it that in our personal lives. I'm like, for me, this is figure out what happened. Figure out what's most likely to happen, right? That's the tool set that we're talking about. Big corporate words, don't need those. You don't really need to worry about those at all. If you hear it in corporate, you can go, oh yeah, hey, Jay talked about this. This is how we're going to figure out what could possibly go wrong. Sometimes you don't need this. Sometimes it's pretty evident. Like, hey, why'd your tire go flat? Well, let's see. There's a nail in it. I don't need different failure effect modes to try to figure out, hey, what could possibly go wrong with this thing in the future? No, I don't need that. But if it would have been something more complex, it would have had a whole bunch of different reasons. For example, when we went down the rabbit hole of dating, or why to get a divorce, or why you did get a divorce, there could be a lot of reasons through there. And then you go, I don't know what happened, or I don't know what could cause that to happen. And then you go through this example and go, oh yeah, that one's the most likely. Did that happen to me? Yeah, that happened multiple times. Okay, that's probably the reason that we had trouble, that caused the trouble. And then you go down the whys again and try getting an answer. So we'll be covering that next time in the episode number 3.